Hey, hey, hey. If you were here a few minutes ago, you saw me running around. I made it. Good to have you here. Welcome, welcome. Today, we're going to talk about letting yourself off the hook, the art of self-forgiveness. Very challenging, right? So, we're going to sit and go right to the center of emotional freedom, healing, and inner peace. Where is that? At the center is how to forgive yourself. We often talk about forgiving others, right? Setting boundaries, releasing resentment. Mhm. But one of the most difficult, most courageous forms of forgiveness is the kind we offer ourselves. Because we can't run from ourselves. You can run from someone else, but we can't run from ourselves. We are who we are wherever we are. And here's the truth: we cannot step fully into our power, our purpose, or our authenticity if we're dragging the weight of self-blame behind us. It's a heavy weight. And I'm looking for my mouse. Most of us we know, we're feeling it now. It's a heavy burden. So today we're going to explore what self-forgiveness really is, what it isn't, and why it feels so hard, and how to begin offering yourself the same compassion you give to everybody else. So take a deep breath in with me and out with me, and we're going to begin. Meanwhile, if you're here for the very first time, my name is Karen Marinez. I'm an emotional wellness coach, and I help the exhausted woman to heal, to find her purpose, her passion, to get rested. And sometimes we can't even give ourselves permission to rest because we think we are the worst people walking on this earth. We cannot forgive ourselves for the past. So, why is forgiveness so hard? It's because when we're the one who made the choice, when we caused the harm, when we acted out of fear, when we disappointed others, there's no one else to point to. You can't say it was my mom or it was my husband or it was my child or my boss. It's you, it's me. So it becomes, I should have known better. That's what I used to say to myself all the time. I should have known better. I ruined it. I messed everything up. This is all on me. Have you ever said those things? And then shame steps in. Shame, like a storm cloud. Ooh, and it hovers. I know you felt it. We've all felt it. But here I want you to know, shame is not just guilt. Guilt says I did something wrong. Shame says I am something wrong. Mm. So shame makes self-forgiveness feel impossible because it convinces you, it convinces me that you and me don't deserve forgiveness. I'm wrong. I am something wrong. And here's something else. For many of us, self-forgiveness wasn't modeled growing up. So we were taught, be good, don't make mistakes, try harder, fix it, be responsible. But where was the lesson that said, you're human, baby? It's okay. Mistakes are part of growth. You still deserve love. It's okay. Pick yourself up. We're going to move on. For a lot of us, that lesson never came. We were expected to always shine, always perform, always give our best, of course. But there was no room for missing the mark, not quite getting to that perfect place. So for a lot of us, there was the lesson. The lesson was you don't have room for error. So now we grow into adults who know how to punish ourselves because that's what our parents did to us. If we didn't do the job right, you didn't get the chores done, whatever the thing, you didn't get that A or that 100 on the test. Maybe there were consequences, maybe there was some punishment. We were not taught to free ourselves of the guilt and the shame. So if self-forgiveness feels hard for you, nothing is wrong. It's simply now you have to unlearn old emotional blueprints. Your parents gave you the blueprints. This is how you live. But there was no room for error in the blueprints. Think about a parent who says, if you ever did that, I would never forgive you. Did you hear that growing up? Or at least once in your life? So we, from that, learn love, forgiveness, and approval is negotiable. It's not guaranteed from our parents. So just as harsh as they were and possibly still are on us, we can be on ourselves. So note to parents, acknowledge to your children, we all make mistakes. You make mistakes, they will make mistakes. It's okay. There's no one on this earth that can say they don't make mistakes or have used bad judgment. We all have been there, so that they don't have this horrible sensation of, oh, something's wrong with me. We don't want that. We're trying to pass on to the new generation, the next generation, goodness and self-love and self-esteem and self-forgiveness. Let me say hi to everybody. It's good to have you all here. For those in the chat, it's and Sally are here. Hey, last week it's you in the sky, and now you're here. Audie's, hey, Audie's. Carolyn, my Carolyn, hello. My Elvin is there. Tiffany Brooks, hey girl. Candida, another great subject to heal emotional wounds. Good evening, Coach Karen, and all in attendance. And then everybody's just, it's a love fest in there. And we got Luce in the house. Hey, it's a love fest going on. For those that are not subscribed, please subscribe. Then you can get in the chat. I don't know you're here unless you get in the chat. YouTube doesn't tell me. So it's always nice. Hey, JCN, good to have you. Wow, thanks for popping in. This is awesome. It's a really great topic. So before we explore how to forgive yourself, we need to clear up a major understanding. What self-forgiveness is not. Gabby, hey, PJ, hey, good to have you girls here. Welcome, welcome. What self-forgiveness is not. It's not letting yourself off the hook. It's not pretending it didn't matter, whatever the thing was. It's not excusing harm, because when we make bad choices, it doesn't only affect us, usually other people are affected. It's not avoiding responsibility. And it's not minimizing what happened. We are not in denial. Self-forgiveness is not denial. It's actually the opposite. Okay? It says, self-forgiveness says, I did that. I own it. And I will no longer torture myself for being human. We keep it real. We're realistic. We're open. We're honest with ourselves. So I did that. I own it, but I will no longer torture myself for being human. It's personal accountability plus compassion. So self-forgiveness is an act of maturity, because it takes maturity to do that, to say that. It's not avoidance. And the truth is, not forgiving yourself doesn't make you a better person. Sometimes we feel like if we just stick ourselves 1,000 times over, punish ourselves, that it somehow makes it all better. It doesn't. It doesn't make us a better person. It doesn't undo what happened. It doesn't protect anyone. It only keeps you stuck, feeling stuck and ashamed when we don't forgive ourselves. But you deserve to move forward. You deserve to grow. You deserve to heal. You deserve to have peace. So that's why we're here. You know, there's a science to self-forgiveness. I'm not a scientific buff, but I figured I would put this in there just because it gives a little more weight. It's not just, kumbaya. Research shows that people who forgive themselves, notice this, have lower anxiety, experience less depression, feel more motivated to change, have higher self-worth, and make healthier decisions moving forward. So just like forgiving others frees us of the anger, the resentment, the bitterness, and forgiving others is good for us. Forgiving ourselves is good for us as well. Why? Because self-forgiveness quiets the stress response. When we're feeling shame, it's fight or flight, high stress, anxiety. When the when the brain is drenched in shame, it can't learn, it can't grow, it can't problem solve. And that's why. And sometimes we stay in this spiral of the shame, the guilt, the thinking about it, the shame, the guilt. Forgiveness literally restores access to the parts of the brain responsible for empathy, reflection, and wisdom. So when you forgive yourself, you're not being weak. You're creating the inner conditions required for growth. Isn't that beautiful? I said, yeah, I got to share that. I'm not a science person, but that makes it really good. So how to forgive yourself. Hello, reignite your radiance, Gio. Good to have you here. How to forgive yourself. This is the heart of the episode today. I'm going to walk you through a process you can use anytime you find yourself stuck in regret, self-criticism, or shame. And it's really important because it's a terrible feeling to walk around in shame, head down. Some of us play the part. Oh, we step out into the world. We look like we got it all going on, all together. Head high, dressed to the nine, makeup on, hair done, nails. But inside, we feel like the worst of the worst. And I think that's even worse because no one would even dream it. They don't even think to say, you okay? You look great. You look fabulous. But on the inside, it's a whole other story. And then we're in amongst good people. And the inside, we're smiling, but the inside of us is saying, I don't deserve to be with them. They're so good and I'm so bad. If they knew who I really was, they wouldn't want me here in this circle. These people are good people. And look at me. I don't belong here. And you see, and the spiral, and you're stuck. And you may even excuse yourself and go home early from the party or the dinner or whatever the thing, because you just feel so unworthy. So here's step one to the process of healing. Name the wound. Again, we keep it real and we're honest with ourselves. Say what actually happened. So I chose, because I have people in my life, people in my community, this community, that are going through divorce. So I chose to focus on that. I'm going to use that as an example. We'll follow it through. This is not pointing to any one person in particular. Please don't think I'm calling you out. I'm putting your business out on the street. This is a case that I brought up in my head and I used it, but a lot of times it reflects different client circumstances, friends, family, because it happens so often, unfortunately. So this isn't pointing to anyone in particular. That's just my disclaimer, okay? So say what actually happened. Name the wound. So maybe you'll say, I stayed in a marriage with a person who was unfaithful to me over and over again. Or maybe it's, I wasn't there for my children. I was there physically, but I drank too much. My mind wasn't there. Or I was working all the time. I didn't give them the time they deserved. Whatever the thing, name the thing. Or I dated that guy back then and he didn't even deserve my time and I let him mistreat me. I'm glad I got out of it. We didn't get to marriage, but that did me damage, harm. I still feel it to this day. How could I let that happen to me? My mate actually hit me. I'm just throwing things out. Okay. So we're not going to exaggerate the version that shame tells. Like I let this man hit me, or I let him be unfair, and then it just makes me the worst person in the world. We're not exaggerating. That's what shame does. We're just naming the wound. Don't dramatize the version where you're the villain. Just stick to the facts. I stayed in a marriage with a person who was unfaithful. I wasn't there for my children when they were growing up. Okay. And now ask yourself, what did I do? I stayed in this case. What was my intention at the time? I was trying to help save that person from themselves. I saw the good in them. And I thought by staying, he would change. I could motivate him to change. If he saw my loyalty, then he would. That happens a lot. Here's the other question. What was I trying to protect, avoid, or manage? You might say, I was trying to avoid them spiraling out of control. Like I was kind of like a protection for him. Or you might say, maybe he was a good provider. I didn't want to have to work. Or I was afraid of being alone. I don't like being alone. So I was trying to avoid that. Maybe there were children involved. You were trying to protect them and you wanted them to have their father in the house. You grew up in a one parent household and you've always said, I will never put my children through that. So I'm going to say it again. What did I do? What was my intention at the time? And what was I trying to protect, avoid, or manage? And keep it real. But remember, just the facts. Okay? But keeping it real also means I'm not going to say I stayed for the children if I really stayed because it wasn't about them. It was about me not being alone in this world. I don't like being alone. I like being out with my husband, even if he's, whatever. You understand? So be honest with yourself. Okay? Call it what it is, what it was. Okay, and basically it boils down to fear. Whatever the thing, we make these decisions based on fear of something, fear of loss, fear of something, even fear of status. This world treats couples better sometimes than it does single women. That's a fact. That you have certain privileges, rights, so usually it wasn't malice, it wasn't bad intentions that we had. A lot of times it was fear. Or maybe you were a single mom taking care of your children and you worked a lot. And by the time you got home, you were not available. You were just trying to get in bed. And now you look back and you're like, well, but what was the fear? Of not being able to take care of your children financially, not being able to provide a home. So you work, and you may have worked more than you even needed to financially just to have that cushion because I don't want to be out on the street. These kids depend on me, right? So it wasn't malice. It wasn't a bad intention. I don't want to be around my kids, so I work a lot. It could have been, and a lot of times it's fear. So get to the bottom of it, but be honest. Name the wound. Will bring you out of that emotional fog. That, oh, I don't know why I was just, right? We call ourselves all kind of horrible names. Okay. Step number 2, acknowledge the impact. Self-forgiveness does not skip this step. It says, who did this affect? My decision, my bad judgment, who did it affect? You might say, my children resent me for staying. My family doesn't respect me because I stayed. He only got worse as I continued to put up with his unfaithfulness. He got more brazen. He didn't even try to hide it anymore. The other question, how did it affect me? Oh, I carried that secret for years. I didn't tell anybody about it. And I could never really be myself around anyone outside of my home because I was a nervous wreck. I couldn't be my authentic self. It affected me. It made me, what were the consequences? I have severe anxiety now. My self-worth took a big hit. I'm a nervous wreck because I was always on and afraid somebody was going to find out and trying to keep up appearances. These are all just examples. I'm just feeding you a story so you can see how the process works. So who did this affect? How did it affect me? And what were the consequences? We can't skip over this part. This is where the maturity comes in because you're owning up to what was done, the impact of your bad decision, your bad behavior, whatever the thing that you really regret. And this is part of the healing. You can't skip this. There's always consequences to what we do. However, you don't have to drown in guilt. You can acknowledge the impact without attacking your character. I know it affected my kids. I'm so sorry about that, but it doesn't make me a bad person. I had good intentions. All right. So step 2 again is, who did this affect? How did it affect me? And what were the consequences? The chat is quiet. Tell me some of your thoughts if you have any. All right. Step 3 is understand the root cause. So every choice has a context. We're going to go deeper to the root. What version of me made that choice? In this case, to stay. Probably the insecure little girl inside of you, unfulfilled. We have to realize that who we are today, when we're looking back at what we did 10, 15, 30 years ago, we were not we were not then who we are now. And you're probably a much better version of yourself now. So we have to give ourselves grace, but we're looking back just to get information. We're not wanting to cause more guilt and shame, but we have to acknowledge, where did this come from? What made me make that choice? What was wrong with me? I was so insecure. 30 years ago, I had no idea who I was. I was so, oh, forget about it. Elvin says, please don't forget the like, hit the like button. And it's just like, yeah, good stuff, right? Here's another question to ask yourself. Was I overwhelmed? Was I overwhelmed? And you say, you know what, come to think of it, yeah, because I didn't realize my true worth. I felt inadequate without him. That overwhelmed me. The thought of going out on my own, leaving him, and then more with my kid, being a single mom, what? I had no idea how I could ever pull that off. Now looking back, of course I could have done it, but I didn't even know my strength. I definitely didn't even realize my worth. Here's another question. Ask yourself, were there things unhealed? Then you look back and you say, wow, growing up, I saw my dad disrespect my mother all the time. He was verbally abusive to her. So I hated what my husband was doing to me, but it felt so normal, so familiar. It didn't shock me. I hurt, but it didn't shock me. It was what I was used to. And I chose to ignore it. That's what my mom did. You see? Here's another question. Were you operating from fear? Definitely. I did not want to live single. I prefer to be married. I want to have a companion to go out with. I was scared to death of being alone. We're keeping it real. If you can't be real with yourself, yeah, just keep it real. Write it down. Because then you'll see where this, like, because we ask that question because we're looking to the logical part of our brain, which only controls what, 5%. Why would I do? How could I marry him? Why didn't I leave him long time ago? What was wrong? It's not here. It's here. The subconscious is controlling 95% of what we do. So we got to get over here. When we say the why, how could I? That's why you come up the answer, you come up with zero answers and you just keep spiraling over the same questions over and over. You don't get anywhere because it has nothing to do with that. Gio said, keep it real. Yeah, especially with yourself. We've been talking about authenticity, even with our family members. We have to be authentic and real with ourselves. So what was left unhealed from your past, from your childhood that moved you to choose this person? What was the attraction? What in the dating period what energy did he put off? What signs were there? There were red flags that you chose to ignore, but acknowledge it. And we're taking responsibility for the part that we played. Is it okay what he did? Not at all. But we have to acknowledge the part that we played in this. We still made a decision. Were you operating from fear? And then the other thing is was I repeating patterns I learned long ago? Again, I saw my mom put up with anything and everything. She took care of that man. She loved that man. Or, you know, the younger version of me, this was something I had to learn. I realized the younger version of me I didn't trust my gut, my instincts. Those red flags, you don't acknowledge them. You see them, but you don't acknowledge them because you don't, that gut feeling, that's putting up the red flag. You're like, no, no, it can't, oh no, it can't be. He's great. Or my job, I have to do whatever the I knew he was cheating way before he told me. Some women say. I felt it. But then he comes home with flowers and you're like, no. And you push it, you squash it. We have to learn to trust our gut. It's there, it's God given. And especially as women, it's like we have a sixth sense. It's a protection. But when you're young and you don't know and no one tells you, you don't pay attention to the gut feeling. You just, you brush it off and keep moving. Then you get older, as you're looking back, you realize what, and now that gut tells me something, I'm doing it or I'm not doing it. Whatever the gut is telling me, I'm listening because she's right every time. She's right every time. So self-forgiveness becomes easier when you realize this. If I knew then what I know now, I would not have done the same thing. I would not have made the same decision. And that realization is growth. Because you don't say, I should have known better. I was so stupid. Maya Angelou said, when you know better, you do better. So we grow. So we look back and we learn from her what she did, why she did it, what was behind the scene, what was going on in my subconscious 10, 15, 30 years ago that got me to here. Now I know what I need to heal so that I don't make that mistake again. Besides the things that I personally realized I needed to heal, it was Karen. When that gut tells you something, girl, listen to it like right away. When you're in tune with yourself, when we're connected with ourselves, that those instincts, that gut feeling is our best friend. When you know better, you do better. So we're looking back to learn. At the end, we want to forgive ourselves, but we definitely want to go back and just give her a hug. Poor baby. Poor baby. You suffered. But we're better now because we know better. We've grown. And you see how the maturity comes. It's wisdom. Wisdom. Valuable information, valuable material. So here's step 4. And this is where some people get stuck. Most people. Compassion is not indulgence. Compassion is saying, I can hold myself accountable and still deserve kindness. Imagine talking to a friend or even that younger version of yourself. What would you say to them? And now say it to yourself. Offer her compassion. Like, baby, you have no idea. But it's okay. You're going to make these choices. They're not good for you. You think they are because it's a mode of survival. And it's okay. Because one day you're going to wake up and you're going to say, oh, we're not doing this no more. And you're going to have the strength and the power to get yourself up out of there. Or the mother that worked so much wasn't available for her children. You're going to do everything in your power now. You can't make up for that lost time, but you can be involved in their lives if they'll allow. That may be one of the consequences, that you didn't pay attention to me then. I don't want to have time with you now. It could be, but maybe 1 or 2 of them out of the 3 will want mama time. Just do better. But be compassionate with yourself. Like Itza said, growth is beautiful. It is. Oh my goodness. We don't want to stay stuck. We want to be compassionate with ourselves. So we have to go back and look at her. Remember what she looked like. Poor baby, what she was feeling. So insecure, so lost. Like this was her only hope, her only way out. And now you look back and say, girl, but she didn't know. It's okay. But you survived. You got a few scratches. We all got, right? But we're here and we're doing better. So we can give her hope too. It's okay. You did that and you didn't know, and it was because of this, and this that happened in your childhood, and that, and that. But we survived it, and we're gonna be okay. We are okay. I forgive you, and I'm gonna offer you compassion. It's all right. You could even mentally go back and give her a hug. She needs it, believe you me. And I know you know. Give her the hug that she deserves. So, step number 5 is making amends internally or externally. Sometimes amends are outer actions with other people, and sometimes they're internal commitments. So ask yourself this: what repair is actually possible? What repair is actually possible? You could say, I promise myself to honor myself now, to be intentional about loving myself. I'm not going to do that to me anymore, be so nasty and vindictive towards myself. I can repair myself internally. And externally, maybe all the people that said, you shouldn't, or you're going to regret this. And some of them you may want to have a conversation with, like, thank you for being there. I know I gave you the side eye, but I appreciate you tried. I wasn't willing to listen, but I appreciate you for trying to help me to save myself from that. But it's okay. But thank you. Maybe, right? So what repair is actually possible? What amends are appropriate? How about forgiving myself for not trusting in my true strength? I didn't realize that I was strong enough to face life without a mate. I was even younger than I had now I have the wisdom, but I got a few aches and pains. But back then, what? I didn't have the wisdom, but I had so much strength. Like, of course I could have done it, but I had no idea. And it also, if you stayed for the children, or they would apologize to them for staying and keeping them in that toxic environment. Some kids are upset that the parents stay. Some kids are happy. They're grateful. Candida says compassion, when we know better, we do better. Admit we messed up. Yeah. And leave it there. Why did I do it? How? What was behind it? What motivated me to do that? I see the big picture. And I can't judge 25-year-old me now compared to 50-something-year-old me. That's 25 years of experience, of living. How could I know then what I know now? That's not fair. It's not fair. Don't do that to yourself. I did it to myself for many. It's not, we don't get anywhere. It just makes us feel worse and worse. And the other question is, what boundaries or changes will help me grow? Because we're all about the growth. It's to say growth is beautiful. How about always trusting my instinct going forward? That's the boundary I set. I see now it was always there to guide me in the right direction. And also, I know my true worth now. I would never put up with that again, ever. Jamás in Spanish, never. All right. Making amends. I love this. Please write this down. If there's anything you're going to write down, write this, please. Making amends turns regret into wisdom. I love that. Making amends turns regrets into wisdom. We learn and we grow. And we learn from our experiences, good or bad. They can make us better people. We could become bitter or better. I choose better. We don't want to be bitter. Pa qué? For what? What would it do? What? No. Step number 6, release the punishment. This is the last step. Release the punishment. Ooh, do we love to punish ourselves? So this is the actual moment of forgiveness. And it could sound like this: I'm choosing not to harm myself for this anymore. Or, I've learned, I'm growing, I release myself. It's in the past. If I could go back, I'd do it differently, but I can't. That's impossible. But going forward, I promise to use this knowledge to do better. And you may need to repeat that over and over. It's better to repeat that over and over than I was so stupid. How could I do that? What was wrong? What was I thinking? Forgiveness is a practice. It doesn't happen just in a moment and no, it's a practice. So let's practice it. We're used to punishing ourselves. We can go on that and it's like it just spirals. We want to now practice forgiveness and learn from it and then do better. But forgive ourselves. My dad, you know, this is way before cell phones, and years and years ago, you had to pay long distance for call. You had to pay for long distance calls. My parents were here in New York. They were from Florida. His mother was sick. She was young, but she was really sick. She had been here, and then she wanted to go home. And my dad said one night he was like, I should call my mama. That's what he would say. He loved his mom. He was the firstborn. I should call my mama. And then he said, oh, but the rates, we're not even used to that world anymore, but the rates, I'll call. I guess if it was a weekend, maybe the weekdays were less expensive. So it would say it was a Sunday, he was going to call her that Monday. I have to find out exactly, but I remember the rates were better the next day. I'll wait and call her. And then the next call he got was that his mother had passed away. And he said, ooh, the regret he felt to not have called. So after that, he didn't care what time of day, who, what, where. If he thought of somebody, he called them. Because he said that's the worst regret is that I could have had one last conversation with her and I didn't, thinking about money. Is that a valid thing? Money, of course. Fear, yeah. I could spending this. I gotta take care of my kids and my family. Fear, not malice, right? He was able to forgive himself, but then moving forward, I think about you, you're getting a phone call. Yeah. So we learn from our mistakes. And when we know better, we do better. Wisdom is growth, and growth is beautiful. All right. So those are the steps. Section number 5 in this whole thing is that there are emotional barriers to self-forgiveness. Sometimes we want to forgive ourselves, but we feel like a block. So here are some common barriers. One, we feel like forgiveness means losing control. Some part of you believes that punishing yourself keeps you responsible. But being accountable doesn't require self-abuse. So let it go. Number 2, fear that you'll repeat the mistake. If I don't, shame, it will help me from repeating this mistake. No, not shame. Awareness will help you to not repeat the mistake. And you're aware now. Number 3, feeling unworthy of compassion. So if you grew up in a home where mistakes were punished, forgiveness may feel unsafe. Like, how can I forgive? What? It's unnatural for you. And number 4, believing guilt equals goodness. So if I feel guilt, then it shows that I care. But you can care deeply and forgive yourself. You don't have to walk around with that guilt and shame for the rest of your life. That's unnecessary punishment, and you don't deserve that. Each of those barriers can be unlearned. So they are feeling like forgiveness means losing control, fear that you'll repeat the mistake, feeling unworthy of compassion, and believing guilt equals goodness. That's not true. All right. So as we close, let's do a guided self-forgiveness practice. You could put your hand on your heart if you're able and you'd like. Take a breath. And I want you to bring to mind, you could close your eyes if you'd like. Bring something to mind that you've been carrying, a mistake, a moment, a decision that still weighs on you. Nothing overwhelming, just something that you're ready to work on, to soften. And I want you to repeat after me, either silently or out loud. Itza and Sally are together. I wonder what's going to happen over there. Probably silently. Here's one. I did the best I could with what I knew then. I'm human, allowed to make mistakes. I am willing to learn because we don't know everything. I'm willing to repair. I'm willing to release myself. I deserve peace. I forgive myself. Now, here's a really good one. Listen to this and repeat. I did not value myself then like I do now for various reasons. Maybe one was low self-esteem. But today is a new day. Doesn't that just feel good? Let your jaw unclench. Let your shoulders drop. Let yourself breathe again. You deserve it. It's like you've been underwater for days, weeks, months, and years. And it's time to come out. Come up, take a breath. Give yourself some compassion and love. Forgive yourself. Self-forgiveness is a journey. It is not a single moment. It takes time. It's a process. Give yourself that time. Some wounds take time. Now that you've gone back and possibly identified the wound, what was really below the surface then, that may be something you need to work out in therapy. Some layers come off slowly. But just remember, every time you choose gentleness over punishment, every time you choose accountability over shame, every time you choose compassion over self-attack, you move closer to your true self. So sweet. We're moving closer to our authentic selves. We're trying to find her. Who is she under all those layers? Where is she? I know you're in there. And you move closer to freedom. Oh, freedom. And you remind yourself that you're human, you're growing, and you're deserving of love, not punishment. I chuckle because it just said she and Sally did the exercise in silence. I imagine that. That would be pretty weird to not do it in silence. So thank you so much for being here today. This was a good one. I couldn't wait. I was preparing it since last week and just thinking and processing, because when we don't forgive ourselves, ooh, it's a heavy burden. Thank you for showing up for your healing today. Thank you for giving yourself the grace you have always deserved. Please continue that. Be gentle with yourself. Be good to yourself, sweet and kind. Be compassionate. Lou says, this was such a good one. Loved it. And I need to repeat it. That's the good thing about YouTube. You can watch it over and over. Take your notes. Think about it. Do the exercises, please. Free yourselves. If you want more help, I'm available. You reach out, get in the chat. If you're not in the chat, you can reach out to me. You can email me, KarenMCoach@gmail.com. All the information is down in the show notes. Because we deserve to be happy. Look, it's December 1st, 2025. We have one more month left of this year. Let's leave some things behind. You know how we're decluttering? I'm in the decluttering. I'm doing my bedroom over, getting rid of stuff. I even got rid of some furniture. I just want space. And now I wake up, I'm like, oh, this is great. Let's declutter. Let's get rid of some of this emotional baggage that we have just sitting around, just on our shoulders, just weighing us down. Let's try to leave it behind in 2025. How's that? Let's work on it. If you could give yourself a few months to figure it out, work on it. You need some help, you know where to find me. All right, we could work on things together. Gio says, thank you. You're very welcome. It just said the topic was chef's kiss. I'm so glad. Yeah, good stuff. Love you all. Big huggies. Have a fantabulous evening. And Candida, take care of yourself spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically. Exercise felt great. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Now you have your notes. Work on it. Take your time. Go slow and get to the nitty-gritty. And we may have several things. Who's ever sending the hearts? Thank you for the hearts. We may have several things we want to work on them one at a time. Latasha John says, thanks for being there for us. Very nice information. Latasha, please email me. You promised you were going to email me. I've been checking my email every day. I'm trying to figure out where were we together in the class. I'm like, who is she? Thank you for being here. A pleasure. Mwah. You guys take care. Be well. and be gentle with yourselves. I'll see you next week. Bye.